Ladies and gents, semi-finals are done. It didn't go my way, that's for sure. The Cowboys were very, very poor, and we'll get into that. And also what the Sharks did really well as well. We'll also go through the scores from Finals Fantasy for those that want to get a general idea of them, and then where teams are at in that sort of top 50. Especially a lot of people that I know that are doing really, really well in that one, and I'm down in sort of 180th spot or something out of the 250 that ended up submitting for the second week. So Sharkies and Cows first. The Sharkies, they played great. I was really, really happy with their efforts. They obviously let the Cowboys back in with a few errors, and the Cowboys were really pushing hard through the middle, quick play the balls. They were doing good stuff through the center there, and through some of their important players in like Val Holmes had a really nice game, and a good improvement over the last month or so. And it haven't got the confirmation yet, but it sounds like a potential tib fib, or one of them, fracture anyway. Actual fractured leg out of that, which made sense in the end, the way that he kind of went down for, it was a bit innocuous. He kind of got whacked in there, legs kind of going everywhere, and then tried to run on it, and it was no good. But on the Sharky side, let's start with the good from them first. And Braden Trindle, he was the key cog in this one. He was absolutely terrific, doing incredible things out there, and really running the show, which is what he has built into, I suppose, since Hines hasn't kind of been himself. Trindle's come out and has taken over, and obviously coming back from injury as well. Trindle has taken over the role as lead kicker, lead organizer in this team. And I think it's off the back of him and Blake Brayley. They've been the two best players on this team for a good while now, along with Brent Nicker, in my opinion. Those three guys are working really well together. Obviously, Trindle down that left-hand side, Brayley playing, or mostly through the left-hand side, Brayley playing through the middle, running the footy a bit more, directing traffic and dictating terms a little bit from that 9 position, and has really stepped up. And then Brent Nicker on that right-hand side has been super strong, running terrific lines, and it just gives them options both sides. They obviously have some really good outside backs that give them an opportunity to, I suppose, have their back rowers as really strong options as well, and they can't just focus in on those back rowers, and that's where that space ends up opening up a little bit because of how quality the centers and wingers are from the Sharkies. They're able to have some more space. Either they lock in on Nickera and Wilton, or they lock in on the centers and the wingers, and that's where that space opens up. Either way, that's going to happen. And when you have two quality halves either side in Trindle and Hines, you're seeing some of the benefits from that. Obviously, Hines there kicked goals well, which was a big part of this one. And Trindle's just stepping up massively. But obviously, the start of this game, it was all Sharks, and the Cowboys were very, very poor. And the sad thing for me was we have a lot of games where discipline isn't good enough. And this is one of them, defense and discipline. But the sadness of this one was the fact that it wasn't the role players. It wasn't the forwards, apart from Cotter. It was our really important key players. Holmes had a really good game, but Drinky was very, very poor. You had Robson was pretty solid there, obviously, but it was Dearden with that error. It was, Nanai kind of, going off injured, obviously, with 52 minutes, but Cotter with just some silly plays, the penalty try he had at the start. He had some other issues there with penalties as well, and just not good. Dearden's error, Scotty Drinkwater, the one where he didn't play to the whistle. You thought it might have been forward or something like that, or sorry, a knock on. Picked it up, passed it to him. He's looking at the ref. It hits him in the hand and the head, and obviously is a knock on that front. So just things like that you just cannot afford to be doing in semi-final footy. And they did deserve to lose. They didn't play well enough. Their key players didn't play well enough. And the Sharkies got the hoot off the back. And that was the big thing in that second half. They were down 24-0. But, and even just the knowledge at 24-12, I believe it was. 24-12. If you're going for the short dropout, you just can't kick it out in the full if you go past 10. Just knowing rules like that, because that was just an automatic 2 points and put them 14 behind, rather than, you feel when it's 12 behind, you can knock out 2 tries and be in a good position. Just Drinky's knowledge around that and his execution around that wasn't good enough. And it just made it really, really tough to come back. They did end up having some opportunities there, and I think Robson had made a nice break and just couldn't find the man. Ball ended up on the ground. I think Drinky kicked it forward or whatever it was in that one. But yeah, it just wasn't to be. They left themselves too much to do in that comeback. And when you're playing up against a team that hasn't won a finals game since back in 2016 when they won the comp, they've been in there the last couple of years. They've got a bit of a hoodoo around winning these games, and Cowboys have got them in at least one of those games as well. So just to give them a 24-point lead just takes the pressure off them for sure. Like if you kept this close, I think the Cowboys win. They just weren't good enough at all, unfortunately. So that is that. Before we get to the Roosters game up against the Manly boys, we will go through those scores. So Watson, just ridiculous that he's coming in absolute clutch in finals. I expected this to happen. I expect him to play big minutes with obviously a couple of their guys out, Brandon Smith being one of them, and they haven't had big injuries to the outside back, so he's actually been able to stay in the middle. So yeah, shock that he's scoring absolutely goes nuts when his scores don't count for my fantasy team. But him, Blake Brayley 56 and Robson 72. Really, really good selection of guys there. Just, Brayley be happy with 56, but the other two just dominating. In the middle forwards, Collins had a bit of a shocker there, so it definitely was a pick between the two, McInnes and Cotter. They both scored a try, but Cotter just that little bit further at 77 compared to 69. Nikora, Crichton, Olakuatu there. They were the very, very interesting picks as well. They actually all scored within 4 of each other. Crichton and Olakuatu the same. Nikora 4 points more at 57, so not much difference. Wilton, Nanai, and Lawton. Nanai just not showing his chops, and Wilton doing a great job. So 63 was the play. Hines, Dearden, and DCE didn't end up being the big winner there. So surprisingly enough, thought he should be able to do okay, but did have some of their try assists obviously in that one. Hines underperforming, and Trindle would have been the better selection in that one. But if I put him in there, but DCE the 49ers, I hope personally that Hines is going to go nuts. Holmes, Iro, Manu, and Garrick for the centers there. Holmes ended up being the one that dominated. I changed from picking him last week. He actually topped the center chart 2 weeks in a row. I changed from him to Manu this week. So yeah, and Garrick's kind of fallen off a cliff. But Iro with a 62 was great as well. So if you went for one of those two, happy days. And then for the wing fullbacks, Drinky, Turbo, and Teddy. Teddy was dominant. 2 try assists, ended up with 98 fantasy points through my scoring. Drinky 51, Turbo with the 41 there. And then the summary. So we've got the 2 lots of scores in there. Sean with a really good score in round 1 ended up outdoing Bailey, who is down in 5th spot now with 1,069 points. He got 1,081 for Sean up top there, which is really, really nice. So congrats to those guys in that top 5. But Stuart, who's a private group member, good stuff up there in 4th. We've got Lockie Smith. We've got the Scoopman in at 6, just sitting behind Bailey. There's a really, really cool one. We've got Ian in the private group. We've got Mitch, who just continues to crush fantasy no matter what it is. I got to meet him the other day. Good fella. He, come 21st this year, came 60 odd the year before, and ended up is sitting in 13th spot or something, which is crazy. We've got Adam Grant there. Also got Ben Wright, another private group fellow, Matt Cosgrove. Bevan and Max having a good one as well. Can't keep these guys away from the top spots. We've got Josh Vanderkley in a good spot there as well. Richard Buslane, who ended up coming, 30th? 28th? Something like that. Really good spot. He's up there as well. So, yeah, Jesse Lentini. Heaps of guys that are absolutely crushing it. Darren Booth from the... I deleted that one as well. I haven't deleted it from this one, but we'll delete that now. We've got double for Declan. And Corey Boyce in there at 246. So when I say 246, there's a lot of players that unfortunately either didn't complete. I think it was 170 or something that didn't complete this week. Anyone who was in top spots, good scores, that so if you got your email wrong, if you got your name wrong or something like that, different to what you did in round 1, it won't take your score. I managed to fix 6 or 7, but I just picked guys that got really 500 mid 500s plus. So if you're one of those guys that did input your selections but it hasn't come through, please message me and we'll go through that there. But let's move along to the secondary game of the week. So let's go back on that one and select the Roosters one. And it was absolutely dominant performance from the Roosters up against the Eagles. We know that they have been a better team all year, obviously, in that one, but 40 to 16 is a bit of a drubbing. What the Roosters did well, though, is they played some good second phase footy. And they have the talent on the back end to be able to back that up, which has been really, really cool. And And obviously Tedesco has been just ridiculous all year. So good. He showed that again in this one. And you had the guys in the middle doing great stuff. Obviously, you're having Watson in there just running, making good tackles. You got Hargraves back, who got 35 minutes out. Same with Collins. So it was nice to get them less minutes, coming into a very important clash for them next week. And I'll get into the preview of those in a couple of days there when it gets a bit closer into those prelims, which are going to be fun. And then, can't wait for the grand final. But good to see Tupou have a bit of a bounce back. Suoli'i doing great stuff, obviously kicking goals there as well, 5 of those. But it was very much a team effort. Joe Manu was much better in this one. Sanders Smith had a great game, so he was able to show his chops and pick up a try as well. 39 points you had there for Kiri, so a bit of a bounce back on his front, running the footy. A line break assist, try assist for him. So it was very much a team effort, and just the weapons that they have were absolutely too much for their Eagles opposition, which is what was expected, especially with Tommy kind of carrying a couple of injuries there, MCL and also his AC joint injury. He was solid, but didn't have the vigor that was needed for them to, if they were going to concede that many points. We've known that they've been able to let a lot of tries in this season, and they were never going to overcome 40. They needed to keep the Roosters down to like 20, 24 for them to be a chance, and they've got enough attack to be able to beat a 20 or 24. But if you're letting in too many against a good team, it's just never going to happen. But 207 run meters for Tommy, a line break, 5 tackle breaks, was still solid, but again, just left him and DCE too much to do, and they weren't able to do that there. And Olakau'atu still really solid, but under 100 meters for him in this one, only a couple of tackle breaks. They were able to keep him fairly well contained, which was good. And then Garrick just not looking himself. Brooks was fine, ran the footy well, did some good stuff. But when you compare these two teams, it's Tommy, it's Garrick. Kohler has some talent, obviously, but -2 in this one. Unfortunate for him, he got the head knock in the first tackle. And we also had a head knock for Gerbo, who went off and obviously passed that HIA. But that wasn't a great start, losing Kohler early. But he has his moments, but out at centre, it's a bit different to him at fullback. He's very rare to get those big moments, but they had to obviously cover that, which hurts. Not exactly what they needed, being an underdog in this matchup, to be able to come out and try and win this one. But Roosters were able to contain a lot of their big dogs. But you're looking at this, it's Cherry Evans, Olakau'atu, Brooks, Garrick, and Turbo up against the might and power of all these Roosters. Even without Sam Walker, you look at that back line just in itself, and you look at forwards in Hargraves and Collins, they're internationals, they're Origin guys. Watson, Crichton, both Origin guys. You've got Spencer Leniu coming off the bench as an Origin guy. Nat Butcher and May would start in any other team. So they're absolutely stacked. They played really good footy. Just had too much for the Eagles, that's for sure, in that matchup there. So we will preview them in another day. I'll do a little bit. I'll do some research in the preview for those two. Storm up against Roosters on Friday night. Panthers up against Sharks on Saturday. I'll do my preview on Wednesday and also go through who I'm tipping and by how much. But this week just gone, I did think it was 50-50 for Sharkies. You did expect them to win at home, and also did expect the Roosters to win as well. So sitting, I think, pretty well. I think I tipped all but one. I got the Dogs. I missed the Dogs in the first one. I would have tipped the Sharks here and the Roosters in that preview as well. So there you go. We'll leave that one here, guys. And if you are following NBL Supercoach, I'll do a review of that a little bit later today with how I went. It was actually a pretty good start. See you guys.